My son got his ex-girlfriend pregnant. We're going to live together, so divorce him and leave. Emma comes to me with a deep apology. Our reactions to Emma's announcement are varied. Nick, the son, looks away in confusion, while Lucy, the affair partner, seems moved and exclaims, "Emma!" As for me, I'm put off by Emma's theatrical tone. "That's enough, Mary. This is..." Ignoring Nick, who seems to want to say something, I go to retrieve something. And then, "Here's the divorce papers. Please take care of my husband's debts." I present the completed divorce papers with a smile. Of course, my part is already filled in. I also show Emma the loan agreement. "What? You should pay it," Emma commands me. But I just smile and shake my head. "Impossible. It's my husband's debt." Then I reveal the truth. Hearing my story, Emma and Nick turn pale. At that moment, the intercom rings. The people who enter next will plunge them into despair. I am Mary, a 32-year-old office worker. The company I work for is run by my father. Meanwhile, my mother is a homemaker. She loves making clothes and often made dresses and various other garments for me when I was young. Her clothes were always in my favorite designs, and I was always thrilled to get new ones. "Mary, that outfit is cute." "Isn't it? It's Mom's latest creation, Rolla. She finished the dress you asked for last time, so come pick it up soon." "Awesome." I have a childhood friend, Rolla. She's my best friend. She's always been righteous and has often helped me out. Now, Rolla is a lawyer, fulfilling her dream and helping many people. She's my best friend and pride. "Mary, there's someone I want you to meet." "Nice to meet you. I'm Ben, Rolla's husband." Ben is Rolla's husband. He works as a detective and is known for his exceptional observational skills. A lawyer and a detective, what a dependable couple. Rolla has given birth to adorable twins and has built a warm family. By the way, I'm also married. "Hey, you're from the same club at the university, right?" "Yes, that's right. I met my husband Nick during our college days. He was famous for being handsome and very popular at the university. Amidst this, he took an interest in me, who was solely focused on studying to join my father's company, and showed no interest in him. That's how our relationship started, with Nick making the first move. "I'd like to join Mary's dad's company too." I talked about my father's company after we started dating. Nick became interested and decided to join the company with me. Though we were assigned to different departments, he quickly climbed the ranks and is now a department head. I've heard about his reputation and am motivated not to be outdone. We don't have children, but we live a peaceful life, inspiring each other. "I'm really sorry." "It's okay now." One day, a certain truth came to light, and Nick and I had a huge argument. Honestly, I thought about divorcing. And even Rolla suggested it might be better. "There's no one but you for me. I truly love you from the bottom of my heart, so I don't want to separate." However, Nick pleaded, so I decided to give our relationship another chance. Since then, Nick has changed, treating me with utmost care. He even started actively helping with household chores, which led me to forgive him. "Thank you, Mary. From now on, I'll dedicate myself to you only." Make sure you do. There won't be a next time. Our relationship became stronger than before the fight, helping each other more as a couple. It would have been fine if it ended there, but Emma had to stir things up more. "Mary, I heard you blamed Nick." Without even knowing the details of the argument, Emma started yelling at me. Taking advantage of my surprise, she continued, "Nick is too good for you. If you have complaints, divorce him. You're such a disgrace as a wife." "Enough is enough. Mom, stop it. Mary and I have already settled it, so please be quiet." Emma kept blaming me until Mark and Nick stopped her. "Sorry about Mom. She's always been prone to overreacting." According to Nick, Emma has always been prone to jumping to conclusions and acting impulsively. When Nick was a child, she frequently stormed into his school. Each time, Mark would end up apologizing for her actions. "I'm really sorry. I'll talk to Emma properly." "Sorry, Mary." Honestly, Emma's behavior infuriated me, but I decided to let it go this time, considering the deep apologies from Mark and Nick. Emma adores Nick excessively and always pressures about divorce at the slightest issue. "Maybe that's why my brother left," Nick mentioned. Nick has a brother whom I've never met. Apparently, his brother and Emma never got along and had a falling out. His brother left home right after graduating high school and hasn't returned since. Perhaps that's why she's more clingy with Nick. "Before you dare to speak to Nick, what about children? When will I be able to hold my grandchildren?" That was a frequent topic until recently. I was concerned about not having children too. We checked with the doctor, but there was nothing wrong with me. "Maybe you should get checked too." "Well, even if Mark stops Emma, I'm getting tired of this." So I took Nick, who seemed reluctant, to the hospital for tests. The results are still pending, but we've promised to live happily together, regardless of the outcome. Lately, Mark has been speaking strictly with Emma, which has quieted things down significantly. It's truly thanks to Mark. Without him, our married life would likely have fallen apart. What's this?" One day, I found a letter in the mailbox. There was no sender, just a message saying to break up with Nick. Feeling uneasy, I immediately showed the letter to Nick. "Maybe it's just a prank." "You think so? Doesn't it feel creepy?" "It is creepy indeed. Maybe you should consult Rolla about it, just to be safe." Following Nick's suggestion, I contacted Rolla. After explaining the situation, she said she'd make time, and we quickly arranged to meet. "Sorry to keep you waiting, Rolla." "No worries. Let me introduce you to someone first." At the cafe where we met, Rolla, Ben, and another man were waiting. First, I was introduced to the man.
"Nice to meet you. I work with Ben as a detective."
This man, Tom, appeared to be Ben's work colleague and friend. I greeted them and immediately showed them the letter.
"What's this?"
"No sender means it was probably put directly into the mailbox. That's malicious."
Rolla and Ben frowned upon seeing the letter. Meanwhile, Tom seemed deep in thought. "Is something wrong?"
"No, the handwriting seems familiar. Could it be someone you know?"
At Ben's words, Tom mused.
"Maybe."
And it was decided that the two detectives would investigate the letter. After getting some advice from Rolla, we disbanded for the day. And when I returned home...
"Welcome back."
"Nick, you're here." Nick was already at home. I was surprised to see him there, as I hadn't expected it.
"Did you find out anything?"
"No, we can't tell much from just that."
"Maybe you should go to your parents' place for a while, just in case. This might escalate, and you could be harmed."
I observed Nick as he suggested this. He seemed concerned, but was restless and avoiding eye contact. This made me feel uneasy. Maybe. "But why are you home, Nick?"
I was worried about you, Mary."
"Today's a weekday." It was a weekday, and he should have been at work. I had arranged for paid leave in advance with my father, so it was odd for Nick to be at home.
I was worried and couldn't concentrate on work."
"But you said it was just a prank, didn't you?" Nick avoided my gaze at my question. Nick's behavior reminded me of the previous big fight. Back then, he also avoided my gaze when I pressed him for answers. I'll wait a bit longer before returning to my parents' house. While making sure not to inform Emma, I also discussed various things with Mark. Despite this, the letters continued to arrive, becoming more aggressive. "Break up soon," "Get out now," "You're a nuisance," "Nick doesn't suit you," "I'll force you out if necessary." I took photos of each letter and reported them to Rolla. "Dad, I need a little help with something." Furthermore, I sought the cooperation of my parents. I was moving secretly, ensuring that Nick remained unaware while managing my work. As a result, I've been returning home later than usual, with Nick leaving the office before me. "He's not here again today. Where does he go?" Nick wasn't home when I returned. Sighing, I waited for him.
I'm home.
Welcome back. You're late again today.
Yeah, had a lot going on.
Nick returned home 2 hours later than me. As usual, he avoided eye contact, which led me to make unpleasant assumptions. I sighed again, trying to mask my irritation. Then, after some time, something sad happened. Mark passed away. Mark, you did your best. Mark had fallen ill a while back, and despite treatment, he passed away. I was grateful to Mark and had visited him every day. I cried a lot the night he died. But it seemed I was the only one who felt that way.
Take care of the arrangements, will you? Mary can handle it, right? I wonder how much Dad left us.
Nick and Emma, with smiles on their faces, left me to handle various arrangements while they discussed the inheritance. Even after the funeral was over, they tasked me with sorting out the belongings and went out together. What's this? While going through Mark's belongings, I found something in his diary. I collected it and immediately took it to Rolla. Mark cared about me until the end. I resolved to respond to his concern properly. I started to move without Nick or Emma knowing. A little while later, when things finally settled down, I'm coming in. Emma brought a woman with her to our house. Who are you? It's been a while. I knew the woman. She was Lucy, Nick's ex-girlfriend. Are you Nick's current girlfriend? Yes, Nick is indeed my boyfriend, but... Nick's taste has changed, huh? To be involved with such a plain woman. She was the woman who took a mysterious superiority over me when I started dating Nick in college.
Hey, Lucy. You and I are no longer involved, so stay out of it.
At that time, Nick and I were separated, and he rejected Lucy. Since then, there had been no contact from her. So this was the first time we met since college.
Why are you two here?
It seemed Nick wasn't informed of their coming. He was surprised by the appearance of the two. For the moment, he let them into the house to hear them out. Actually, I'm currently dating Nick.
What? What are you talking about?
That's when Lucy revealed her affair with Nick. Lucy apparently works at a company that does business with ours. About a year ago, she and Nick reconnected at a business meeting, and from there, they developed a physical relationship. I'm pregnant with Nick's child.
No, Mary, this isn't true.
Lucy's announcement left Nick desperately trying to explain, his face turning pale. In contrast, I remained calm. What are your intentions? I asked coldly. Lucy seemed taken aback. Then Emma came forward with a deep apology. My son got his ex-girlfriend pregnant. We're going to live together, so divorce him and leave. Emma said, deeply apologizing. Our reactions to Emma's words were varied. Nick, her son, looked away in confusion, and Lucy, the mistress, seemed touched and said, Emma? And I was repulsed by Emma's theatrical words.
Well, Mary, this is...
Ignoring Nick, who seemed to want to say something, I went to get something, and then... Here's the divorce papers. Please take care of my husband's debts. I handed over the filled-out divorce papers with a smile. Of course, my part was already filled in. I also showed Emma the loan agreement. What? You should pay that! Emma commanded me, to which I just smiled and shook my head. Impossible. After all, it's my husband's debt. Then I revealed the truth. It's the debt Nick accumulated when he cheated before. In fact, this was the second time Nick had cheated. Previously, he had had an affair with a married woman and was demanded compensation by her husband. Nick has a habit of splurging on his mistresses, and since he had no savings due to his lavish spending, he ended up in debt.
I only have you, Mary. I truly love you, so I don't want to separate.
Coaxed in this way, we decided to rebuild our relationship. Until the debt was paid off, I was the one providing for our living expenses. And you might have forgotten, but this land originally belonged to Dad, and I bought it with my savings. So if anyone's leaving, it's Nick, not me. I then took out something. It was a photo of Nick and Lucy walking arm in arm.
Did you know about this?
Yes, I've known for a long time. This photo was taken by Ben and his colleagues. In addition to investigating the letters, I had also asked them to look into Nick's affair. And this is something Mark left behind. Next, I presented a copy of the exchange between Emma and Lucy. It detailed Lucy's affair with Nick and Emma's support of it.
How did you get this?
It was tucked away in Mark's diary. Mark knew Nick was having an affair, and instead of stopping it, Emma was helping, so he kept this as evidence. My words turned Emma's face pale. I will divorce, but I won't give up this house. And I'll demand a substantial compensation. Looks like more debt for you. Hearing my words, Emma and Nick's faces turned pale. Just then, the intercom rang. The people who entered next would plunge them into despair. I was waiting for you, Rolla.
Sorry to keep you.
The ones who entered were Rolla and her team. In fact, I had contacted Rolla as soon as Emma and her group barged in.
Tom?
Lucy turned pale upon seeing Tom's face.
Long time no see. Finally found you.
To Lucy, Tom turned with a smile. Actually, Lucy and Tom were ex-spouses. However, Lucy had cheated, leading to their divorce. Lucy had been avoiding paying compensation at the time. That's why her face turned completely pale now.
Tom?
Can't believe it. You're Tom. Long time no see.
I didn't know this, but Tom turned out to be Nick's brother, with whom Emma didn't get along. Tom looked at Nick and Emma with a cold gaze.
You still enjoy hurting people, I see. Let's go.
With that, Tom urged me to leave. I then left the house with Tom and Rolla's group.
Wait.
Pack your things and leave within a week. Otherwise, I'll sue. I said this and left with just the essentials. Oh, that's right. I have to say that too. I turned back to Nick one last time. How did you, being infertile, manage to get her pregnant?
What?
Leaving them dumbfounded by my statement, I headed to my parents' house with everyone.
That was tough.
Good work. Take it easy and rest. My parents warmly welcomed me, having been informed beforehand. We then discussed what to do next.
But who would have thought Nick was infertile?
That's why we never had kids, despite being intimate. Yes, Nick was actually infertile. I found out through a medical examination, but I hadn't had the chance to tell Nick due to the letter incident and Mark's funeral.
So the child in Lucy's womb isn't Nick's. And I've been divorced for over a year, so it's not mine either.
In a way, they're a well-matched couple. A couple both involved in affairs. I checked my phone, which had notifications turned off. There were dozens of missed calls from Nick and Emma. Messages too, asking me to come back, wanting to talk.
Did they contact you? Show me.
Here. I handed my phone with a stern face to my father. Just then, a call from Nick came through. Father pressed the talk button.
Mary, explain everything. What's going on?
Thinking I had answered, Nick started talking nonstop. Everyone frowned at his words.
What do you mean I'm infertile?
That seemed to be his main concern. Nick continued.
Let me stay in this house. You're all I have.
Without waiting for my response. His words, clearly audible, even without the speaker, left me more dismayed than angry.
You seem to underestimate my daughter quite a bit.
My father spoke up. Nick's voice stopped.
I've heard everything. Remember your place in the company. No, please, not a dismissal.
Wait, that's not what you told me.
Lucy's voice cut in. Apparently, Nick had told her he was the next company president. So I chose Nick as the father. Without that, it's meaningless.
So the child isn't mine?
You're infertile, right? Then it's not. Who knows who the father is? Nick's blame toward her was audible, and they seemed to be arguing even over the phone.
Please, do something about this.
Then Emma's voice came through. My mother took the phone from my father. Hello, it's been a while.
That voice, Mrs.
Emma sounded surprised upon hearing my mother's voice. Recently, my mother had started a sewing class, and Emma was her student. Please don't call me teacher anymore. I don't want someone like you as my student.
What?
Emma seemed to genuinely respect my mother. She screamed, and my mother silently hung up the phone and handed it back to me.
Well, we should head back now.
Right, Mary, leave everything to us. We'll make sure you get a good settlement and handle the divorce.
With those reassuring words, Rolla and Ben left. I thought Tom was leaving too, but he stopped and looked at me.
Mary, please read this letter.
With that, Tom handed me a letter and followed Rolla's group. I watched them leave, and then read the letter.
Ever since I first saw you.
It contained his feelings for me, and I was taken aback by the beautiful content. My goodness!
Not bad at all.
My mother peeked over my shoulder at the letter and laughed, and my father smiled wryly at our exchange. A week later, I returned to the house with Tom.
Mary, you came back.
Stop joking. I just came to get my personal belongings. Nick tried to cling to me, but I rejected him. It seemed only Nick and Emma were still squatting in the house. I glared at Nick. Did Rolla tell you? Hurry up and leave this house. Thanks to Rolla's help, our divorce had been finalized recently. Furthermore, she had asked them to move out immediately, and the house was to be put up for sale in a month.
But about that, can't you reconsider? Don't come near her.
As Nick approached me, Tom pulled me close and shielded me. Nick's face contorted as Tom embraced my shoulder.
You cheated, after all you accused me of?
Unfortunately, we're not dating yet. I denied Nick's words and looked at Tom. Well, I intend to respond.
Really? Oh, that makes me so happy.
Tom smiled at my words, contrasting with Nick's look of despair. Then Emma intervened.
That's awful. Poor Nick.
How strange. You were the one who wanted this from the start, weren't you? Emma fell silent at my words, seemingly remembering her own insistence on divorce. Lucy seems to be your favorite after all. Well, Emma looked away, unable to face the truth. I thought it was typical of them to avoid eye contact when things got uncomfortable, like parent, like child. Ah, and by the way, Rolla has a will from Mark.
What?
It will be open tomorrow, so please be at the designated place. My task for the day was done. The next day, we opened Mark's will at Rolla's office. What was written in the will was,
What? The inheritance goes to Tom and Mary?
The will left everything to Tom and me. Nick's share had been converted into a lifetime gift in the form of debt repayment. Initially, Mark had paid the compensation for Nick's first affair, and Nick was repaying it as a debt to Mark. As for Emma, she had also been unfaithful and had divorced Mark shortly before his death. Therefore, she had no right to the inheritance. The will states that the inheritance is left to Tom, who has endured hardships, and Mary, to whom I have caused trouble.
That's absurd. This is wrong. Why should the brother who left and Mary, a stranger, receive it?
The two were furious at the will's contents. Just then, as I tried to calm them down,
Enough.
Tom spoke out sharply. He then vented his pent-up feelings towards Emma and the others.
I left? If I stayed in that house, I would have run away too. Always neglected, forbidden from attending the school I wanted, and stripped of all money I earned from part-time jobs and relative gifts.
Emma looked away at Tom's words.
That reason being because you don't listen to me. Are you kidding me?
Listening meant doing household chores imposed by Emma. Even if he was doing homework or studying, she would interrupt and force chores on him. By the way, Emma was supposed to be a homemaker. Despite his resistance, even his leisure time was disturbed.
But with Nick, studying and playing were always free, because Nick was the child of a mistress.
Nick was shocked at Tom's words. He had never imagined he was the child of a mistress.
That's why I can't forgive you. I won't let Mark's precious inheritance go to the likes of you.
As Tom declares this, Emma's shoulders slumped. Nick stood there stunned. Parent and child both unfaithful, and the mistress also cheating with another man? Such a like-minded family. My words were met with no rebuttal. Later, Nick and Emma apparently moved to an old apartment. Nick, of course, was fired from his company. He was climbing the corporate ladder.
I'm the son of the company president. I'll be the next president. Listen to me.
He had been boasting around and taking credit for others' works. Nick, a habitual womanizer, had been approaching various women in the company. He was fired after a colleague from his department complained and was caught cheating with Lucy during work hours. On the day I first consulted Rolla and the others, Nick had taken leave to meet Lucy and knew about the letter before I did. The sender of that letter was Lucy.
Lucy's handwriting is distinctive. That's how I knew.
Lucy dug her own grave, trying to break us up. And Nick was returning home late because he was seeing her. As a result, he was fired, and now leads a poor life due to the debt incurred from paying me compensation.
And yet, that mother doesn't work, just plays around?
Despite the situation, Emma was not working, but visiting her lover. Ultimately, Nick kicked her out. Ben had researched all this. Tom had apparently investigated Lucy. She had gone back to her parents.
I knew her parents, so I explained everything.
Tom explained everything, which led Lucy's parents to take away the child and expel her. They promised Tom they would raise the child themselves and make Lucy take responsibility. According to Tom, Lucy's parents are reasonable people. Lucy then turned to Nick for help, but he rejected her, blaming her for the divorce from me.
Ben and I were watching. Nick's mother also came, and they had a huge fight.
Emma, turned away by her lover, also tried to rely on Nick, leading to a mutual blame game and a fight. The residents called the police, and both were taken away. Nick became a pariah due to the commotion. As a result, they left the apartment and moved to the countryside. I received a letter detailing these events and an apology. Too late now. I tore up the letter. I don't have time to spare for Nick anymore. Starting today, it's going to be busy again.
Don't overdo it.
I'm starting in a new department from today. Actually, the next president was supposed to be me, not Nick. I'm currently experiencing various departments for an overall grasp of the company. Therefore, I don't hold a position yet. I'm scheduled to take up a post after this phase.
Recently, the client was pleased with our work. That made me happy too.
Tom's work seems to be going well. Recently, we started cohabitating in a new house. His detective office is nearby, and usually Tom comes home first. Unlike Nick, Tom prepares dinner and greets me with a smile. I'm grateful to him every day.
Tom has worked hard until now.
When I decided to date Tom, Ben told me a lot. How much he had struggled since leaving home, how heartbroken he was by Lucy's betrayal. Perhaps because of those experiences, Tom empathized with my feelings of betrayal by Nick and his family. Now it's my turn to be there for him.
We've both had tough times, but let's support each other.
Thinking this, Tom said it aloud. I laughed in response, and he looked puzzled. I was just thinking the same thing. He smiled, saying,
"Is that so?"
Later, I heard rumors that Lucy was caught by debt collectors and taken away. Emma was recently seen using cardboard boxes to shelter from the rain in a park. Nick, having caused another affair scandal in the countryside, was eventually found by debt collectors and is in a dire situation. It's their responsibility. I never want to get involved again. I muttered and prepared to leave. Today, I have a date with Tom. We are living a happy life, the complete opposite of them. Perhaps I should be thankful for being brought together with Tom. Thinking this, I headed to meet Tom. After a while, Tom proposed to me.
I will make you happy. Will you marry me?
Yes, gladly. I'll make you happy too. I happily agreed and we got married. Soon after, I discovered I was pregnant. Now I can finally let my parents hold their grandchild. That's when I thought,
Tom, you truly are a remarkable person.
My father praised Tom. Tom teared up.
What's wrong? I'm sorry, just reminded me of my father.
Surprised and flustered, my father was watched with laughter by my mother and me. Then, I gave birth to a beautiful son. Tom is actively involved in household chores and childcare, which is a great help. My parents also care for us, allowing me to raise my son without any worries. I'm so happy right now.
Me too.
We smiled at each other. We vowed to protect this happiness for our beloved child. And so, we continued our journey, committed to our promise.